What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You are on another episode of Chiefs Focus Live, and we are 7 days closer to the NFL season. We got JP, we got Quentin, we got Caleb. What's going on, fellas?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
By chomping at the bit.
We got one more show before the NFL season officially kicks off.
Absolutely.
One more show.
Absolutely. It looks like they're using Clyde as an insurance policy as a third back. What do you guys think of that?
I'll go and take a stab at it. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Clyde knows the system. He's been there for many years. I mean, some would say he's not been successful, but he has had some sprouts where he's looked really good. So because of all that, I mean, I'm not surprised the Chiefs are keeping for insurance. I believe they put him on the trade block, and they were trying to, knowing the Chiefs were trying to at least get his 5th to 6th round pick. They were able to get that, knowing you probably were going to offer a 7th. I feel like that would be too low for the first round pick. We've seen stranger things have happened. So at the end of the day, I believe that he is mainly insurance policy. And because of that, guys like Michael P. Ryan and Deneric Prince, who are on the practice squad, they are pretty much going to be elevated on game day rosters. And the second Clyde gets hurt, they're probably going to put him on IR, bring one of those guys up, and then just go from there. He'll probably have a good start to the season. What do you got, Quentin?
I mean, I think you're right. Look what they did to Ronald Jones last year, right? The Fish just stashed him. Look what happened when they got that running back that the Broncos cut because he was fumbling so much, and then
Melvin Gordon.
Once again, they just dashed him away, and he walks away as a Super Bowl champion. So this is something that Andy Reid does, that Kansas City does. They just accumulate running backs, veteran backs, and it's almost like they prepare for the worst to happen, and that's it.
Yeah, you got to have a backup plan, and that's what the Chiefs are doing. They're having 2 and 3 just in case, because you don't know what's going to happen with this whole running back room. You know, Pacheco's going to do his thing, McKinnon's going to do his thing, but you got also a couple guys you think that can come and do some things as well. So,
yeah. What's up, Thiz? What's up, Russette? Haven't seen you in a while. Where you been? I'm okay with him being there for right now because I don't think he's going to be there very long. I honestly don't. No, I don't think he's going to be there very long. I think given the fact that we have brought back who we brought back and put him on the practice squad, I feel like they're going to get elevated. I don't see Clyde being there past week 4. I mean, as far as on the 53-man roster. And I just don't see it happening. So I'm not really concerned about him being there. He's going to see very minimal action, for the most part. So it is what it is. They may play him a little bit to see if he can withstand anything, maybe showcase him a little bit. Maybe they can catch a trade for him from somebody at some point. But look, man, he's not destined for this team. If he was, they would have picked up his 5th year, and they didn't. So it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But I guess some good news. It sounds like Chris Jones will be here week 1. So if that's any consolation to everybody that's been flipping the hell out, including us to a degree,
well,
sounds like he's gonna.
Don't throw me into that. I've been cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, I know.
I've been saying the same thing.
I know. We all did, really, but it was getting to a point where at one point last week I was told that he was going to hold out. And, I mean, past week 1. And it's looking like he's not now. So, I mean, he could change his mind. He changes his mind like most people change their underwear. So, who knows? But right now it sounds like he's going to play and be at least there. So, let's hope that happens. With P. Ryan and all those guys, I mean, you got superb talent on the team right now. Now, the one thing I did want to bring up is all the huge talk from all the guys that matter about Justin Ross and Rashee Rice. They are right now. There are people out there that aren't Chiefs fans, big time analysts, saying we have the best wide receiver room in football collectively. I don't know what you guys think. I kind of tend to agree with them, but I've been on the Justin Ross train for a very long time.
Yep.
Nobody told me.
But he's looking pretty damn good. Now, Rashee Rice, yeah, people made a big deal about the few drops that he had. He had 4 drops in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Adams had a terrible preseason and a horrible first year. If I remember right, Chase had a lot of drops in preseason.
Yeah, he had like 4, and
Yeah.
he was saying because he was used to the white marker on the ball, and everyone
Yeah.
all went crazy, and he had one of the best seasons. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not really concerned with any of these wide receivers. Are you guys concerned with anybody?
No, not in particular. I am curious. I want to see, and we haven't talked a lot about Sky Moore. And I know he's he's had some great moments in preseason. It's been kind of more of an all right. But I also know at the end of the day, too, when kind of looking at things, it shows me that I don't know. I think Sky Moore is going to have a good season. I predict he's going to get over 250 yards. But I also wondering, are these rookies and these guys such as Rashee Rice and also guys like Watson and many others are going to outshine him again. I'm just kind of curious. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, let me just answer the wide receiver point. I'm not surprised about who made the roster. The only thing that surprises me a little bit is that Richie James is below Rice on the depth chart, and that Richie James is the 5th wide receiver on the depth chart. That does surprise me a little bit, but other than that, I think isn't this exactly the guys that we said were going to make the roster?
It is.
Yeah, pretty much. We knew we had a good amount. We knew what was going to make it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, honestly, they deserve to be on this team. I'm not so surprised that Rice is above him. I'm not. He has really learned the playbook very well. Yes, he's had a few drops, but apparently Mahomes and Andy really like him, and so does Nagy for that matter.
Okay.
And I'm not that surprised. Look, these guys. I told you, Quentin, that at some point this whole depth chart was going to change fairly quickly with these rookies, and they have. And I think you're going to see Justin Ross jump up too. And when it happens, I mean, just don't be surprised when it does happen. I feel like these guys have really got a very good feel for the game, especially the Mahomes game. If you can grasp playing with that man, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And for him to come out and publicly, I mean, normally he'll say, yeah, they're learning, they're getting the group. I mean, he's just flat out saying these guys are ballers. He's not holding back on it. So what we got going on here? Let's see. What's this? Sandy says, is there any way y'all see the Chiefs going with different packages for different games? Absolutely. Absolutely. With a bunch of young wide receivers.
He says in another comment talking about the wide receiver group. So do we see any bunch of different packages that could be created?
Yes. Yeah, with that wide receiver group, absolutely. I mean, you got guys that have such different skill sets all the way across the board. Absolutely, you can run different packages and be successful. I can absolutely see that. What do you guys think?
I think they can do that as well. I mean, with these receivers, you can do a lot of different things. You can stack all on one side. And let's not forget, as Quentin says, we have Travis Kelce. So he can be putting those packages. You could put them all on one side, but Kelce the other. You could put all on one side and put Justin Watson or Justin Ross the other. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things they could do. They could do like a fake wide receiver screen where one of the blockers runs out into basically a out, and that can work as well. I mean, there's a lot of different things they can do. So I can't wait to see what they're going to be able to do for the most part there.
Did you guys expect him to go with 3 tight ends?
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I don't know. At the end of the day, it is what it is from that standpoint. Because, and I hate to say this, Alexa Fortin's experiment might be over. The reason why is because of all the injuries. I mean, he's been able to do some things, but I think we kind of expect him not be as dominant as like a Kelce, but to be fairly healthy and get a few hundred yards a season. And we just haven't had a reliable wide receiver too. And I think they were hoping I was going to be Fortson, but because of the issues over time, it just hasn't worked out.
Thiz has got a great point right here. So he deserves this. I think Andy might be creating a situation where each receiver is used interchangeably. And with the size of wide receiver that we have in some areas, I can agree with that. I can see that happening. You got some pretty good blockers out there. You got pretty good sized guys, and there's a lot of decoys on the field. I mean, when you really look at it, what do you think, Quentin? I was surprised that they went with 3, but I figured they'd go with 4.
And the wide receiver group. Let me just say this about the wide receiver group before I move on to the tight ends. In terms of like how interchangeable that they are, there's a bunch of different skill sets, but a lot of them that I think are similar in what Kansas City's been looking for. I do think that this wide receiver group is very similar to, with just less experience and less top tier talent when Patrick Mahomes was first here, right? So I think we have our speed guy. I think we have our sort of over the middle wide receiver with Rashid Rice, right? So I think that's the sort of, they're trying to build that 2018 offense again. The tight end, pulling Travis Kelce out of it, it doesn't do anything for me. It's like we have Travis Kelce, we have Noah Gray, who seems to be the guy on like the verge of, man, he could be something really good. And then we have Blake Bell, who I could care less about. He is a blocking tight end that they use in a stupid package that I don't want to see on the field. So
he hates to see Blake Bell as a fullback. It drives him crazy.
Yeah, I hate the bulldozers.
Not for everyone.
But other than that, it doesn't do anything for me. I think if you run like 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends, you're just removing playmakers off the field. And so I don't want to see 13 personnel because I don't think that provides the best value in terms of what you have, of the playmakers that you have. So I don't want to see 13 personnel on the field.
Well, I think you're going to see it a couple of times this year. As much as you don't like it, you're probably going to see it a couple of times. This, I think right now, collectively, this wide receiver group is better than what we've had. Even though they're rookies, this is probably the best wide receiver group Patrick Mahomes has had.
I think that you're 100% correct in terms of the depth. The top end talent is not near what we had, but the depth itself, if an injury happens or something like that, I'm way more confident in this group than I have been in the past. So I'm like 50% of the way with you.
I just feel like these guys are going to show out, and I feel like the depth is there. You know, you were so one-dimensional with Tyreek and Kelsey, and then you threw D-Rob in here and there, and then you threw in, of course, you go back and you threw in Chris Conley, and you threw in Albert Wilson and all these other guys. Now you got a group of guys that no matter who you throw in there is going to do something.
And I think what we see, since these guys can do a lot of different things, it's just going to be beneficial at the end of the day to help them do well. And because of all those different things, look, we had Tyreek Hill. They were double teamed all the time. Now you really can't double team one besides Kelce because you got an open room. I mean, there's a threat in every single wide receiver that's running out there. So because of that, I believe at the end of the day, defense are going to have a very difficult time. All right, we're going to guard Kelce, but okay, who do we guard next? I mean, none of these guys really would say pose a threat until they get you. So we're going to probably have a lot of points in the season where we just have a wide receiver have a couple touchdowns here, or another one has a couple touchdowns there, or another one goes over 100 yards and almost a touchdown. I think we're going to see a lot of that more sporadic moving around.
Yeah, and that's what we had when we had Sammy, Tyreek, and Kelce on the field. And then you threw in a McCole Hardman when he had his great year with us, his rookie season. But we haven't had that in a long time, and I think now we have the wide receiver group that can spread the field so well that it's going to be very difficult for defenses to handle this. That's how it feels to me.
Okay.
Let me ask you guys a quick question, off Chiefs topic really quick. McCole Hardman was dropped to the number 3 wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. He is now the number 3 wide receiver. What do you guys think of that?
Isn't that where he's supposed to be?
No, he was supposed to be number 2.
No, I mean in general, like isn't that his skill set?
I can't say that's 100% his skill set, but I'm saying apparently it is now. I mean, it's he went from the 4th wide receiver to the second wide receiver for us, and now he's back to the third wide receiver, then the second. Now he's back to the third, or the third with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just where he is. I think that's just the receiver that he is. That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, Garrett Wilson's going to be the number one. I mean, there was rumors that they could try to trade for Devontae Adams. I mean, you got other guys in there that can play as well. So, I mean,
where the hell are you getting that money at?
Huh? Well,
where are you getting that money at?
He seems to be moving. Some of those guys have restructured contracts and haven't taken a lot. So things.
I know he did, but yeah, he moved a bunch of money himself.
Rodgers moved like $35 million.
So they very well could get him for a season or two if they figure out a way of figuring it out. I don't know. McCole Hardman, I mean, he did some great things for us. I mean, yes, I feel like when the time for him to shine, when Tyreek Hill wasn't here, he just didn't shine, and then he had the injury, so you can't really fault him for that. But we kind of knew we were getting with McCole Hardman at times, and this is just not me, this is just the media, so if everyone's going to come after me, Quentin might be looking at me like, dude, you were dumb. Looking at this whole situation, JP might say it too, when you look at the whole situation, some people thought McCole Hardman was a little immature in how he handled himself and didn't practice and do things to full extent. Now, we weren't there, but there are a lot of people that were bringing this up and wondering maybe this is the reason why his offensive strolls are struggling. I mean, I know he was a second-round pick, and he wasn't supposed to be Tyreek Hill's replacement, as JP has said over and over again. He was supposed to be Sammy Watkins' replacement because Sammy was very touch and go for a long period of time. So at the end of the day, this just shows me what it shows me is this. He's just going to be a rotational guy in the NFL. Unless he can figure it out, he's just going to be a rotational guy. I just don't see him blowing the doors off. Now, maybe he will Rodgers, but I just don't see that happening after the progression of him being in Kansas City for about 4 years.
Now, Rodgers dropped him himself, so he's the one that made that decision, and that just tells you that Rodgers runs that football team.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're paying him all that money, I mean, yeah, there's things I don't like that Rodgers does, but he does know football. I mean, someone may say he's not smart at other things, but he understands how to win a game, and he's on a defense. He has weapons. It's not – and when you look at the whole thing with Green Bay, part of it was his, but also the other part was the management of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Team. Yeah. We don't have a defensive end, Rodgers will cover that. Oh, we're having an issue with running back, Rodgers will cover that. Like, you can only have the quarterback cover stuff only a few times. That's just not how things are going to work. And because of that, he was like, enough's enough. And I do not blame him. I don't blame him one bit.
Yeah. Well, Reset had a question. He says, do we have a catch-all wide receiver? Yeah, we got one. His name's Travis Kelce.
Yeah, basically.
What else to say?
On the depth chart.
No, I think as far as the wide receiver room goes, we do. I think we have a couple of guys that could probably catch pretty much anything that comes their way. It's just going to take a little bit of time to gel, but they'll get there. I'm not. That's the last part of our team I'm concerned with. I have to be honest with you. If there's any part at all that I'm concerned with right now is the defensive line, and that's really about it. It needs depth, and we picked up some depth for that, but not nearly enough. So, what else does he got? He says McCole was a good number 2 when we had Tyreek. Well, yeah, I mean, look, he was a great number 3 when we had Tyreek and Sammy, but
that kind of made him a 4 because you have Travis Kelce.
Because you had Travis Kelce, so
Kelce's basically your 1A and whatever else. So
so it's kind of look, man. If you can get paid that kind of money to be the third wide receiver and not have to work so hard, I'm okay with that. I'd like to do that. I'd like to make a few $1 million a year to not work real hard. But it is what it is. He is who he is. He may get better as the time goes on. He may not. We don't know. After this will be his 5th year in the league, so we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I just was wondering what you guys thought about that because Rodgers made that decision. He actually said, "I want him to be the third wide receiver." So I just didn't know what you guys thought about that. Are you happy with the guys we brought back?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there's some individuals where it's like I would have liked guys like Halasi. I would have got some of our running backs to make the roster, but I mean, it shaked out to where I thought it was going to be. I mean, I think we had a undrafted guy make our roster. I think it was Cam Jones, a linebacker. He'd be the guys like Cotrain and others, so he's going to be a great piece. I think he's mainly going to be a a special teams guy before he gets to another point. So I don't know. I for the most part, what I saw was what we were going to get. So, I mean, there was really no changes or nothing crazy. So,
Well, I will say this about Halassi. We took a ton of shit on our page about Halassi because he is now a Brown. And it was like, we got a lot of Browns fans coming in and say, thank you, Brett Veach, which hurts. It hurts a lot, to be honest. There was one other one. Who was the other one that ended up getting picked up by somebody?
Shane Buechele went to Buffalo.
Yeah,
yep, he did.
That's just a weird thing. I mean, I think that's just Buffalo being Buffalo and trying to find out what they can find out from him. I mean, I don't even know, was he a third or fourth string? What is he?
I think he's getting signed to the practice squad, and I think it's two things: a backup, but also an intel move.
Yeah, it's an intel move.
But the thing is, as JP has said on the show for many years, Reed has always changed everything.
Yeah,
I mean, nothing's always going to be the same. I mean, he's the third string, fourth string. I mean, he's not getting all the ins and outs. Yeah, they're going to get some stuff, but not really.
The one good thing about Andy, and I love the fact that he does this, is that he has 8 different looks for one package, for one formation. He has 8 different looks. So there's no possibility that anybody will know what play is going to go on at any point. I mean, yeah, they're going to figure out some, but they're not going to have Shane Buechele on the sideline saying, "Oh, I know what this package is. Oh, I know what they're doing in this formation. I know why these wide receivers are lined up this way," because Andy can absolutely be a totally different play. So all these guys that do this, I mean, we've seen Cincinnati do it. The Raiders have done it since the dawn of day, and that's okay. I mean, let them bring in who they want to bring in. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect our game. And hey, Quentin, the guy that I said I wished and prayed would be our third string quarterback is now our third string quarterback because he is a dominant player. That is a backup quarterback next year, and he's a starter somewhere the year after that. Chris is a great player. No doubt about it. He's got all the tangibles, smart kid, high football IQ, very poised in the pocket, makes great decisions, and he's very accurate. You can't ask much more out of somebody that never stepped on an NFL field. He made Shane look like crap. I'm sorry, but he did. He's a mobile kid that knows what he's doing. And that's why he's our third string quarterback. That's exactly why. And you never know at any point if for some reason Gabbert decides to hang it up after the end of this year. I believe, which he probably will. I think all this is a stepping point for Chris to be the backup to Patrick Mahomes for next year because he's that good. What do you guys think?
Are you talking about Ola? Who say that
Ola
again?
Ola Duncan.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think Philip brings a great point. I mean, he said talked about him in the chat. I think Ola Duncan could really help this team with a year or two more experience. I think the way it works is Gabbert will be here for a couple more years if all goes well. I think Ola Duncan could be that guy that steps in. I know Andy wants more of that veteran guy who's been around in many different rooms. So it would take a bit for Ola Duncan to get there. And I feel like at a certain point, he's going to want a spot somewhere else. And he's getting a good showcase with the Chiefs and their weapons and things like that. If injuries happens, or let's say, example, Blaine Gabbert decides to retire tonight at 8:30 in 3 minutes, Ola Duncan would be their backup QB, but I think also they would find a veteran guy. So, I mean, it depends on the situation. I would like to see him eventually get that spot. But I also know at the end of the day as well, when you look at all the different pieces that come into play, Ola Duncan is the closest quarterback we have to Patrick Mahomes. Gabbert and Henne, I mean, they could run. I mean, when Henne had to do it, he ran. Gabbert, I mean, I see him in college and NFL. He's been able to run. But Ola Duncan is a guy I think that can replicate Mahomes. Now, we've also heard that he has basically acted as many different quarterbacks. Yep. Lamar Jackson's, Josh
Michael Vick.
Allen's, Michael
reminds
Vick,
me of everybody.
all those different individuals. So he obviously has a skill set that the Chiefs want. And because of that, I believe that he could get that spot, but a lot's going to have to change. And he's really going to have to perform like a veteran that's coming in on 9 years experience.
Yeah, man. Scout team is important. That's something that we don't talk about enough because it's so much behind the scenes that we don't get to see a ton of it. I'm still surprised by it just because Kansas City spent a lot of resources and time protecting Shane Buechele over the years. He'd been added to the 53-man roster in the past specifically to protect him from other teams taking him off the practice squad, and then all of a sudden you're going to just let him go. I don't know if that's a play more on Buechele or not, but that definitely surprised me. It doesn't surprise me that Kansas City wanted to hold on to a Duncan, right? The fact that they wanted to have him around, I just figured Buechele will be the third quarterback, and then they would carry the other guy just on their practice squad, and that would be that. But today, or this cut time, this week has just been weird on some of the decisions. Like the biggest one, and the one that surprised me the most, was Danny Shelton being added to the practice squad.
Yeah, okay. I was kind of surprised, and I was surprised Amir didn't make it at all.
Yeah,
he's the one that went to the Browns. I'm sorry, he went to the Browns, right?
Amir Smith, he got traded to the Panthers.
Panthers. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was surprised he didn't make it, and we didn't keep him on the practice squad. That kid's, you know what? It's a twofold. I said this on the show Tuesday. I'm upset at the fact that he's not on our team, but I'm very proud of our team for giving him the opportunity to start somewhere, and he will start for the Panthers. And that says a lot about our football team because they want him to grow. But it also tells you that Brett Veach knows 90% of the time when he lets go of someone that he wants in the draft or he picks up, he usually gets them back within a year or two. So you got two players out there. You got Halassi and you got Amir that you might see back on this football team in the next year or two.
Yeah, and that's another thing, too. I wonder if guys like Halassi, ISM, Buechele, they let him go because they feel like they'll eventually make their way back.
I don't know about Buechele, but I bet the other two 100%.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I'm going to say this because it is what it is. There's a couple of guys that have been on our team simply because of friendship reasons. One of them was Jeter, and the other one is Shane Buechele. So when you're buddies with the best
I feel like they saw some value. I mean,
there was enough value there, but
I feel like Dieter didn't give a fair shot though in a meaningful game. I think he could have possibly done some stuff, but he was always special teams. I feel like
he got hurt too, so that didn't help him.
Yeah, he got hurt. Buechele, I mean, yeah, they're friends. I mean, also I feel like they could have moved on from any time too. I don't know. Yeah, but I do agree with you. I feel like what the Dieter thing. Yeah, he was friends, but I also felt like, too, he just didn't get a good shot. Like, Tyreek Hill had multiple chances and was able to flourish. But Dieter only had, like, 2. And in those, he was coming in and being a third stringers and things like that. So,
yeah. It kind of is what it is. When you got a quarterback that is the best player on the planet and he wants a couple of guys to stick around, they're going to stick around. I think there was plenty of guys that you could have went out and found for a third string quarterback that were better than Buechele. There was guys that you could have protected or brought in and released him at any point that were better than him and put him on the practice squad, but they didn't. I mean, they could have had Brock Purdy as on the practice squad at one point or another. And I know Quentin can't stand Brock Purdy, but hey, he's the starter. And you know what? He basically got Trey Lance wanted out because of what they did to him, and I don't blame him, but he's a starter. He's starting for the 49ers. So he must be doing something right.
Whatever.
The offense is designed for them to succeed. I mean, it's designed.
It is. Now, Shane could have succeeded in that offense as a starter.
I can't. I've went on a rant so many times about that. I can't with the
one more time, Quinn. Do it one more time.
Okay. I don't want to invest in a quarterback that team specifically passed up 4 with a 6th round pick 3 other times. I don't want to invest in a quarterback that just has no physical ability. I don't want to invest in a quarterback that had a torn UCL less than 6 months ago, and a guy that every other NFL team was like, not that guy. And I spent 3 first-round picks on the other quarterback 2 years ago.
I agree.
And last year, he was my number 1 quarterback, and the only chance he had was playing in a monsoon, and the one where he broke his ankle.
Yeah.
So that whole situation tells me that the 49ers don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks. That's what that tells me. You have a bad process, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, who's their general manager? I mean, that tells you everything.
He's done some things. He's done some stuff, but what I also know is...
Could you imagine the 49ers with 3 other first-round draft picks?
Woo!
Even if one of those players hit, let's say they drafted among any of those, let's say they reached for a wide receiver that year, right? And they drafted another above average wide receiver. That team would be way better than the Eagles if they just had one more above average player in an important position, and they had an above average quarterback. I mean, it's crazy that we're looking at a team that has everything in every position possible, except they can't figure out the quarterback, and it's been that entire way during the Shanahan era in San Francisco.
That's true.
It's insane. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in the NFL.
No, and it's crazy that they're usually one of the top 5 teams to go to the Super Bowl. Reset, he said we need a Brock Bauer or Marvin Harrison Jr. next year. I absolutely agree with you on that.
That'd be nice.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, if Veach trades up for him, I mean, you never know. I mean, he may drop, but who knows? What else is Reset saying? He says, we've got that one. Let's see. What's the next one he said? Kelsey is a scoring at all wide receiver. Pretty much. Did Colburn make the team? He did, didn't he?
Who?
Colburn.
Yeah, he made the team.
Yeah, he made
the team. Yeah.
Yep. So, I thought he did. I'm a little surprised that Cornell Powell is back on the practice squad. I'm just surprised. I don't know what it is that they see, but he has not proven anything to anybody in the 3 years he's been here. So I don't know what it is. I mean, he's seen the field last year a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they did elevate him once or twice last year towards the end of the season. But he's just maybe they like him for special teams. I don't know. Maybe they're figuring in for depth for special teams at some point. But I'm a little surprised that experiment's still going on because he doesn't seem like he's very interested when he's out there. He doesn't have the intensity. So I don't know. It's a little strange to me, but it kind of is what it is. Who's all on the IR there, Quentin? Besides Jody Fortson?
Okay, I've got the list in front of me. So we've got we'll go body defense first. So we've got Nazeeh Johnson, the safety.
Okay, he got ACL. He had a pretty good camp.
Yeah. Ola Kunel Vajoski? I've never heard of this guy before. It's a linebacker, but I've never even heard of him. So I got nothing for you.
You gotta know about him.
Anyways, we've got a center, Jerome Carvin, and Jody Fortson, who we all know about, and then Nico Ramingo, who we all know about. You're welcome.
Well, I was right about one thing. They're going to stash him in the IR. They did.
Yeah.
So
kind of blame him for that.
I mean, there's a couple of under injuries that guys are quote unquote questionable for next week. I'll just get to go through it. Nick Jones, Cam Jones, Cleo Chenal, and Kadarius Toney are all listed as questionable. Very different. We're starting to get into that time where if you miss a practice at all, you have to be listed as questionable. So all of those. Oh, and L'Jarius Sneed. So all of those are obviously different levels. Guys like Snead and Tony and Jones are more serious than like Leo Chenal, for example. But we're now moving into the part of the year where teams like Kansas City can no longer hide some of their injury stuff.
Well, I know that Tony is, from what I heard, should be ready by week 1. I don't know about Snead yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Tony should be ready.
I don't know. I'm not holding my breath on either one of them.
Yeah, I'm not either. But I mean, if they put Tony in, it's going to be on a pitch count or a snap count, and that's going to be about it. I don't know about Snead yet. I just know he was. He got a little upset on Twitter a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
I understand why, but he very rarely says much on Twitter. But boy, he really said it.
Hot take alert: if you're a professional athlete, you probably shouldn't have a Twitter.
If you do, you need a PR guy.
Or a burner account. That's probably what you should. If you really need to be on the Twitter sphere, just get a burner account because it just never seems to do you guys any good.
Well, it didn't cost him any. It wasn't any skin off his back. I mean, it wasn't like he went after somebody that was important, but it was just a comment was made, and he made him feel stupid, and I don't blame him for that one. There was 2 players in the same day that went after the same guy. So
I know, but it's just like, has any athlete ever got on Twitter and said something? You're like, I'm so happy he said that. I'm so happy that insight was just so fantastic. And on the flip side, think of how many times a professional athlete has said something stupid and it's got them in way more trouble than necessary.
Yeah, that's another fair point too. Yeah,
just get a burner account.
I guarantee almost all of them have burner accounts, including Brett Veach and Andy Reid.
Andy Reid does not have a burner account.
Andy Reid has a burner account.
Andy Reid, Andy Reid, I love you, but I would be surprised if you could use a 1999 Dell computer. Okay.
Andy Reid is very, very computer savvy. You just don't know. He's a very computer savvy guy. He's kept up on the times.
You know how when he chicken pecks when he types.
Okay? So do I, and I've been typing for 30 years, and I do the same thing. That's okay. Andy, I bet you anything, somebody's got a burner account helping Andy out there so you can see what's going on. He's got to keep an eye on he's got to keep his finger on the pulse when it comes to these players. So he needs to know what's said and what isn't said. So I bet you anything they all got him. I just have that feeling.
Well, the issue is they don't pay attention to what count they're on too. It's like, if you're going to use a burner, then just log out all the counts besides that one.
Just use the burner.
Yeah. That's unfortunately that's the issue I've seen with a lot of them. And it's like, bro, you're really exposing yourself right now. Just log out the other ones. You don't need that really right now. So
that's true. That is absolutely true.
Put on another phone. They need to have. I think they might have it on a computer, but they need to have something where as soon as you go on Twitter, it says, "Do you want to continue with this account?" So players can know. Because unfortunately, we've seen it's been an issue for some of them sometimes. So
yep. What else we got? Oh, there was a prediction. Who are the Jets playing week 1?
I can look it up.
Is it the Bills?
Yeah, you're right. It is the Bills.
The Bills.
Yep, Bills Monday night, 7:15.
So somebody has the Bills, or a few people had the Bills winning this game. I don't, but a few people do. What do you guys think of this game?
That I think the Bills are finishing 3rd place in the division.
The Bills' time is done. They're dropping. I mean, from what we've seen the last couple of years, I mean, they kind of peaked at the AFC and divisional round championship, all those different things, and they've done some stuff, but unfortunately, they've never really improved, and they just kind of got worse and worse each year. And if you have a team like the Dolphins with the firepower they have, and let's say the Jets step in and they make the playoffs, the Bills are an odd team out. I don't see 3 teams from one division making it, specifically there. I know it's happened before, but I just don't see it happening with them the whole. So,
well, I don't know. That division between the Bills, Miami, and the Jets, and then you got New England, but it could be 3. because of a 17-week schedule in the way they've got it set up. It could be 3, but I don't know. I still see the Bills losing that game. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I don't know why everybody's on this Bills hype, but I just don't see it happening. To this day, I still am hearing about turmoil going on within that team, and I just don't see anything changing from last year.
Well, here's a thing interesting. The last time we've had 3 teams make the playoffs, it was the NFC West. That was the Rams. They were 12-5. Cardinals were 11-6, and the 49ers were 10-7. So we haven't had them for a couple of years, but basically we're seeing that you have a couple years first. We have happening back-to-back years, and then like a stretch of 3 to 4 years where no one has that. So I mean, most of the time it's the NFC East with the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants. I mean, one year you had 2007 Colts, Jaguars, and Titans. You had the AFC North. The AFC West in 2013, the Chiefs, Broncos, and Chargers made it. And then you had a couple years after that. But, I mean, you're having consistency and then drop-off. Consistency, then drop-off. So,
yeah, I agree. Well, we'll have to see how that goes. Now, Reset said, I couldn't find any good Chiefs hats. Do you have one for me, or can I buy one? Well, Foco has a lot. I mean, there's a lot of places out there that have them. Foco has a really nice set of hats. Let me see, Reset, if I can get you a hat from Foco. They are our sponsor. So let me see what I can do about getting you a hat. I don't know what kind of hat you want. I don't know what they sell in France, but or what you were looking for. But they're out there. So let me see what Foco can do for you. What do you say? Faluska is a what? Oh, you said Faluski is a linebacker. I guess that's who you were talking about.
Okay, the guy we weren't sure who he was.
Did you guys expect him to go with 4 linebackers?
Yeah, I mean, they need to. You don't know what's going to happen with Willie Gay and Bolton, and plus you have the other individual, Chanel, who's doing really great. You have to in this stance. I mean, it is a little light, I feel like, because I feel like you should have a lot of linebackers ready to go. I do believe also someone, word to get to hurt, they're going to have to bring up someone as well. I mean, they have Cam Jones, but who's to know what he can do? So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I do feel like the number is a little light.
What does everybody think about this D line right now? Are
we assuming Chris Jones played
with Chris Jones playing?
Okay.
With
I
Chris
think
Jones
that, I think so, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel good. Felix and Udike Uzama, I feel good about. I mean, Caleb and I were very happy about the draft pick when it happened.
We're very happy.
But he missed out on a lot of the the rookie mini camp and all of the stuff leading up to training camp, where he missed a ton of training camp too because he had that hand surgery. So you don't really know. And then when a guy gets in so late, a rookie gets in so late into preseason, you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. He got a ton of playing time in training camp. He got times with the ones. He was playing with the 3s and 4s. So he was out there. He was athletic. It just looked good. But we aren't going to know until halfway through the year, really, if we're being realistic about it. The Lions, despite what some people think, do have a competent offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see when he gets used as a rotational piece, because we know that's what Spags does. But I think he's progressed much. All things considered, I think Felix has done a good job. Obviously, Charles Omenihu coming back to this line post-suspension is going to be a huge boost.
A huge relief, yep.
But I think when we're talking about the overall offensive or the defensive line, the fact that Chiefs made a trade tells you that they weren't 100% confident in this defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of good pieces put together.
What do you think of the trade?
It was nothing for – I don't want to say nothing because, he's a he's a solid. I think he's a solid rotational piece. I mean, there's a reason why. Now, generally speaking, when the Raiders make a draft anybody, especially at any position, I'm not that confident about it. This is a guy that hasn't a ton of playing time. I mean, I was looking at his stat line after the Chiefs made the trade, and it's like nothing. I think he's played in just a handful of games. I don't think he has an official game start. He's always been a rotational piece. But the Chiefs saw something in him.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
They saw something.
obviously, very early in his career. This is his second year in the league. He did play at LSU. So, when you go to a school like that, you hope to see some of that athleticism come back. Gigantic human being. 6'4", 300 plus pounds.
Reminds me a little bit of Pennell a little bit, can kind of plug the holes.
Just a giant man. That's nice. But it's a guy that there's just so little film and there's just so little stats that it's hard to go off of. But, we'll see. I assume that I'm not sure how he's going to be used is because he just got to the party so late. But, we'll see what happens.
Will said, do we think that we'll cut MVS after this season? I don't know. Yes.
If our wide receivers look competent, MVS will not be on this team next year.
Yeah. If these guys look as good as we think they're going to look, most likely he won't be here. Unless he wants to restructure and pay for a small amount of money, just as a depth piece. I just don't see him being here. I'm almost confident to say that right now because I have that kind of faith in our wide receiver room.
Plus, you're going to have you're going to have to make some cap moves, whether you're going to have to try and extend guys like Creed. Those are some of the moves that you're going to have to figure out. And so you're going to have to penny pitch to figure that out. And then a guy like MVS, if you're cutting him, then I think you're going to feel really good about this offense.
Yeah. Did you see Mike Pennell said he really misses Kansas City barbecue?
I did. Maybe that's a sign for things to come.
Might be.
$1.2 million, 1 year deal, something like that.
I'll be okay with that. I would not mind having Pennell back at all. Thought it was kind of funny that he put that up there. You know what was annoying? I don't know if you guys noticed this or not. Quentin, I know you're not on the Twitter sphere a lot. Diana Rossini, is her name, I think is how you pronounce her name, Rossini, said, if I was Travis Kelce looking at all the other tight end contracts, I'd be sitting next to Chris Jones right now.
Isn't it crazy how all of these media folk just love talking about Kansas City Chiefs?
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy, isn't it?
They love to interject themselves. It's like,
stop.
Go bother the Raiders. Go bother the Raiders.
I felt like saying, I was nice about it, but I felt like saying, you could take your $47,000 a year opinion and give it to somebody else because these guys are playing for rings. They're not they make enough money as it is. Travis, I think he values rings more than he does being the highest paid guy in football.
Didn't the tight end just become the highest paid tight end in football? It was Hawkinson. I was like, oh no, here we go. Someone's gonna be trying to come in and product Kelce now, which I don't think that's what they did.
And he doesn't care. Look, man, that guy's got so much going on outside of football. The last thing he cares about is what his contract looks like now, especially at 33 years old.
I mean, he's making $14 million a year.
Yeah,
and he's made almost $60 million throughout his entire career. So,
yeah, he's doing okay. I mean, he's doing okay. Plus the fact that he's got, there's no doubt he's going to have some type of an acting career when he's out of this.
Yeah,
there's no
or
doubt.
At least
he's going to be an analyst easily.
At least something like the Manning cast, where he's going to be not necessarily doing play-by-play or anything like that, but I think he'll still be involved in the sports world. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, a smaller / medium company, sort of like a Barstool Sports type deal, is gonna have to snatch him up. That would be.
I don't think he'd go with Barstool.
No, but something like that, right?
It might be right.
More free, open type platform for him to have.
I think I know where that might be.
Where?
The app we're on.
They have to do a pretty penny.
Look, they put a pretty penny into it. Sean didn't he didn't have all those investors in himself putting all this time and energy into this casting for nothing. This game casting, and that's kind of what he modeled it off of, similar to like the Manning cast. But you're going to have two guys and either an analyst or a pro player just shitting around watching the game and talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really ask for much more than that, especially if it's comical and it's fun to watch and you can be unfiltered and say whatever the hell you want and not have to worry about somebody crying about it. Hey, man, do it. Kelsey is very unfiltered. He doesn't care. He's fine with me. But I think that would be a good move for him. Buy into that, get his name. I mean, man, he put his name on that. We'd all be golden because our names are on that. So it'd be nice to see that happen. But anyway, I don't know what else we got. Has anybody got anything else?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything.
I think so too. If you guys haven't done it, make sure you do. Reset if you want a hat. Go on your phone, download the PSF. P as in Paul, S as in Sam, F as in Frank. It's an app. Download that app because we are going to be doing game casts similar to the Manning cast for the Chiefs throughout the 17-week season and the playoffs. Make sure you download it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have former players on. We're going to have NFL analysts on. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And it's basically the exact same thing you see with the Mannings. So make sure you download that app. It's going to be a lot of fun. With that being said, we appreciate everybody for joining. And we will probably talk to you guys again on – when we plan on talking Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
I almost forgot what day it was. I mean, I tell you, it's been a crazy week. So we will talk to you guys on Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.